At one point I thought I had the perfect life. Right out of college, I had a good job and a marriage I believed would last forever. Leah, my ex-wife, was someone I thought I'd grow old with. We met when I played football in college, and while I wasn't the star, I was proud of my strength. Leah, part of the dance team, caught my eye with her beauty and grace. Things were good at first, but over time they unraveled. I became focused on work and Leah grew distant, spending more time with her friends, especially Susie. I didn't realize how much Susie's influence pulled us apart until it was too late and our marriage fell apart. Fast forward, I'm back at the gym trying to reclaim my fitness. Angie, my personal trainer, pushes me hard during our sessions and my primary motivation. Sex, love and happiness. Mostly sex. After my divorce, I wanted to make myself desirable again. I'd let myself go over the years and the weight gain was evident. In 2012, Leah and I seemed like the perfect couple, the football player and the dance team member. I fell for her looks immediately, but I wasn't the star quarterback. I was a lineman at a small college. Over time, the muscles I once had softened and my weight shot up as I spent more time at a desk. My name's Thomas Patrick Swanson, but most people call me Tommy. I've even been compared to Chris Farley, with my unruly blonde hair and round face. After college, I landed a job at Silent Network Solutions (SNS), a company that installs and monitors networks. Leah worked at Macy's and we seemed happy, at least for the first 3 years. But the last 2 years were tough. We fought constantly and Susie didn't help. She was Leah's best friend from college, a man-hating, bitter woman after her divorce. Leah spent more time with Susie and soon girls' night out became a regular thing. I tried setting boundaries but the outings increased and things got worse. Work didn't help either. I was newly promoted and working long hours, while Leah became more distant. Our arguments grew and Susie's influence became a constant problem. I felt like I was fighting for our marriage, but Leah was retreating into her friendship with Susie. In the end, both of us let the marriage fall apart. I tried to fix things, suggesting counseling and making efforts to lose weight, but Leah seemed checked out. We fell into a toxic cycle and the marriage ended. Even though I knew my marriage was struggling, its end still blindsided me. Leah had been unhappy, but recently she'd seemed in a better mood. Maybe I didn't ask questions because I was afraid of what I'd find. I didn't think she was cheating yet, but I knew things were heading that way if something didn't change. What I feared most was that she'd choose Susie over me, which would destroy our marriage. I came home early one Saturday and found Leah and Susie, dressed to go out. Their laughter stopped when they saw me. Leah smiled, but Susie's look was closer to a smirk. The conversation quickly grew tense, with Susie mocking me and revealing things I hadn't fully processed. When she implied Leah had cheated, I snapped and punched the wall near Susie's face, fueled by anger and heartbreak. Leah didn't deny Susie's accusations and I realized our marriage was over. I confronted Leah, and she admitted she hadn't tried to fix our relationship. I told her to leave and soon after I moved out. Despite considering revenge, I realized there was little to gain. We had no kids, no property, and the marriage had lasted only 5 years. My boss Maria helped me refocus and introduced me to a divorce attorney, Delphina Featherstone, who handled the process smoothly. The divorce went through quickly, though every meeting with Leah was painful. I gave her most of our savings to avoid prolonged contact. A few months later the divorce was finalized and my dream of a future with Leah was gone. Though Leah and I had little contact during the divorce, Brownwood was small and I occasionally saw her. One night, I spotted her at City Lights with Rob Sutherland, a shift supervisor at the battery plant. It didn't take long to connect the dots. Susie had mentioned Rob months ago and now I knew it was him. Marcus was probably Marcus Dixon, another guy Leah was involved with. Both were arrogant and thought they were irresistible. But I decided it wasn't worth confronting them. Besides, without proof it would have been pointless and Leah wasn't worth the trouble. After seeing them together, I withdrew from socializing, focusing instead on work and overeating. My weight ballooned to 345 pounds. In spring 2014, after a year of wallowing in self-pity, I decided to change. I cleaned up my appearance, started eating better and joined a gym, although my progress was slow and inconsistent. That's when I realized I needed help and met Angie Miles, the owner of Main Street Fitness. Angie, a former dancer turned fitness trainer, had a reputation at the gym. Despite her tough exterior, she was supportive but firm, especially with the men. After weeks of little progress, she called me out for sneaking McDonald's. Embarrassed but determined, I joked with her and she challenged me to find real motivation to lose the weight. A few days later I admitted that my biggest motivation would be her. I told her I'd be motivated by the idea of spending time with someone like her, even though I knew it was a fantasy. Surprisingly, she didn't laugh it off. Instead, she came up with a plan. If I lost 80 pounds in 8 months, I could take her to the Christmas ball at the Hawthorne Hotel, one of the fanciest events in town. Angie also set smaller goals. At 30 pounds lost, I'd start ballroom dance lessons to prepare for the ball. At 60 pounds, we'd go on a dinner date just to get comfortable with each other before the big event. It wasn't the motivation I'd expected, but it was enough to get me off my bum and start working hard. I couldn't stop smiling at the thought of taking Angie Miles on a date. She noticed and raised an eyebrow. "Tommy boy," she said sternly. "Remember, no sex, and I reserve the right to change the agreement as we go along." My smile faded. "That's fine, Angie," I replied seriously. "But don't idiot me around. I won't tolerate that. My ex-wife did and I'm not going through that again, got it?" She studied me for a moment before nodding. "Okay, I understand." After that, I got more serious about losing weight. Angie's deal worked better than I expected. I started imagining us dancing and it motivated me to watch what I ate. People at the gym noticed the change and when they asked, I gave vague answers about wanting to date again. But my friend Brandon, a gym regular, wasn't fooled. "So who is she?" he asked while I struggled with a squat. "What?" I grunted. "Who's the girl you're working out for?" he repeated with a grin. I tried to deflect but Brandon, a smart guy, quickly figured it out. "Holy crap. It's Miss TOS, isn't it?" I explained the arrangement. Angie agreed to go to the Christmas ball with me if I lost the weight, but made it clear there was nothing romantic or sexual involved. Unfortunately, Brandon didn't keep quiet, and soon rumors were flying around the gym. One afternoon, I heard Angie's furious voice behind me. She stormed over, eyes blazing. "What the hell have you been telling people?" she yelled. "I told you I'm not sleeping with you." I tried to explain but she cut me off, accusing me of spreading lies. She told me to pack up and leave her gym. I was humiliated but managed to stay calm, insisting I never told anyone that. Eventually I realized Brandon's gossip had caused the misunderstanding. Later, Brandon sheepishly admitted he'd exaggerated the story. I told him to fix it or we'd have a serious problem. I left the gym angry and unsure how to handle the situation. Hours later Angie called, apologizing for overreacting and asking to meet. We agreed to meet at McDonald's. When I arrived, Angie was there with her daughter Erica. As we sat down, Angie apologized for the things she'd said at the gym, admitting she'd overreacted. I responded coldly, reminding her I wasn't going to be made a fool again. Realizing I needed to tone down my anger, I playfully asked Erica if she'd share her fries. Her giggle helped ease the tension between Angie and me. Angie explained that the rumors had hit a sensitive spot, and she lost her temper. "Tommy boy, I'd like you to stay at the gym. If you can find it in yourself to forgive me," she said quietly. I sighed. It wasn't hard to understand why a beautiful woman like Angie was upset after being objectified. I didn't like that she'd attacked me in public, but I could see she was genuinely sorry. "And Brandon?" I asked. "He's on thin ice, but at least he apologized," she said. I chose not to mention the threat I'd made to Brandon. "All right, Angie, apology accepted. But you were right about some things." She looked confused. "I won't lie, the rumors have changed how people see me at the gym, mostly for the better. I've been honest about our agreement, nothing sexual. And I've made that clear." Her expression softened. "Thank you, I really needed to hear that. Angie, I get that the ogre never ends up with the princess, but I wasn't trying to hurt you." "Stop with the ogre talk, Tommy boy," she snapped. "I don't want to hear it." Her daughter Erica chimed in. "Mommy, you said a bad word," which lightened the mood as we all laughed. Erica called me Tommy Bear and teased me about ogres, which got both Angie and me smiling again. Later, Angie and I sat down to talk privately. She confessed she'd been misunderstood. She explained she wasn't upset with me specifically, but had always struggled with being viewed as just sexy. Angie shared her past, how she'd been an exotic dancer to pay for college, met her ex-husband Eric, and eventually opened the gym together. After he left, she was stuck with debt, their daughter, and a gym to run. She admitted she hated the implants Eric convinced her to get, but they still drew attention and helped keep the gym afloat. She also shared her unfulfilled dream of becoming a physical therapist, but being a single mother running a business made it feel impossible. I encouraged her to consider finishing her degree, and we bonded over our conversation. Angie seemed relieved to have someone to talk to. By the end of the night we'd agreed to be friends, and I spent time entertaining Erica, realizing just how much both she and her mom needed a stable presence in their lives. In the weeks that followed, I lost my first 20 pounds and Angie pushed me harder in the gym. Erica joined us sometimes, cheering me on. She even gave me a nickname, Tommy Buns, which got plenty of laughs at the gym, but I managed to negotiate with Angie to settle on Tommy Bear instead. In return, I promised to help get the guys at the gym to stop calling her Miss TOS. It was a fair deal. I quickly became Tommy Bear within a few days, and the teasing about Miss TOS also died down after some talks and subtle threats. With the distractions gone, I focused on my diet and reached my 30-pound goal, which meant it was time to start the dance lessons. The ballroom at the Hawthorne was elegant, smaller than modern hotels but charming. When I first held Angie close during those lessons, it felt like a dream. I picked up the footwork quickly, and as I approached my 40-pound goal, we danced even closer. Angie was surprised at how smoothly I moved, and we rarely stepped on each other's toes. One day, Angie asked to meet with me in her office. "Tommy boy," she said, "I'd like to modify our agreement." Curious, I agreed. She explained that a young woman at the gym, Tara Reyes, had asked for a similar arrangement with me. Tara, who was heavier but very pretty, wanted to lose 40 pounds before her senior year at St. Catherine's. She'd heard about my past and believed I could understand her struggles. Though initially unsure, I agreed to help Tara, especially after hearing her story. Her ex-boyfriend had treated her poorly, and she felt I could empathize with her situation. Our workouts began right after my sessions with Angie, and Tara's dedication inspired me as well. Soon I hit my 50-pound goal ahead of schedule. Angie and Erica invited me to a July 4th picnic on the Brownwood Square. Erica, excited for the fireworks, ran up to me, and we spent the evening laughing and enjoying each other's company. Angie, wearing a large fake diamond ring, joked it was to ward off unwanted attention. She clarified that my role was as a friend, not a protector, but appreciated my support. As we chatted, Angie admitted she rarely dated seriously after her divorce, though she had a friends with benefits arrangement with someone. I teased her about being a lucky dog, but we laughed it off, understanding our friendship was special. The rest of the evening went smoothly, except for a drunk guy who wouldn't take no for an answer from Angie. He eventually left after she got stern with him. Later, right before the fireworks started, Erica needed to use the bathroom, so I offered to take her. Since the line for the women's restroom was long, I took her into the men's room and guarded the stall. When she finished, I improvised by using a water bottle to help her wash her hands outside. As we returned, I saw the same drunk guy with two friends bothering Angie. Her tense body language told me she was upset. Erica ran up to her mom, and I leaned down to kiss Angie, playing the part of her boyfriend to deter the men. The fireworks started, distracting everyone, and the drunk guy muttered something inappropriate. I took advantage of the noise and sucker punched him, knocking him out cold. His friends quickly gathered him and left. A few onlookers clapped as I sat down beside Angie. She softly asked, "Feel better?" I chuckled and said, "Much." Erica eventually crawled into my lap, and we enjoyed the rest of the fireworks. I carried her on my shoulders as we walked Angie and Erica to their car. On the way, I caught a glimpse of us in a store window. A man with a little girl on his shoulders, walking beside a beautiful woman. The image stuck with me. At the car, Angie thanked me and gave me a kiss on the cheek, saying it was a night Erica would remember. As they left, I headed to my own car, but Bill, the drunk guy, and his friends showed up looking for a fight. Though I managed to take them on at first, they eventually overpowered me. The police arrived and broke up the fight before it got too serious. I drove myself to the ER to get checked out, feeling bruised but mostly okay. The nurse who helped me, Bree, was someone I vaguely knew, and she took care of me as I reflected on the night. I knew Mariah still kept in touch with Bree and her husband, Zach, even though he now worked at Grim Engineering Solutions. Bree laughed when I asked if she was the ER nurse, explaining she was just filling in and usually worked in the children's ward. She quickly got me signed in, and soon Dr. Cayley, an older doctor, examined me with a bit of humor. "So, fight much?" he joked while poking my bruises. I tried to laugh but winced in pain. After some x-rays confirmed my ribs were only bruised, I got pain meds and headed home thinking, what a night. What's next? The next day at work, Mariah noticed my injuries. "I hope the other guy looks worse," she commented. I explained it was actually a few guys and she nodded, concerned but lighthearted. She advised me to stay low-key with clients until the bruises healed. A few days later, Angie finally saw me. She was angry I hadn't called her from the ER, and guilty when she realized it was Bill and his buddies who had knocked me up. I reassured her it was my fault for starting the fight, but her repeated emphasis on us being just friends made it clear that's all we'd ever be. Accepting this reality, I shifted my focus to dating again. While Angie and I remained close friends, I started going out with other women from the gym and work. Though some dates ended back at my apartment, they felt empty, like forgettable one-night stands. Tara, however, was a bright spot. As we continued our workouts, she worked hard and her transformation was noticeable. One day, after catching me staring at her yoga pants, she teased, "It's been a while since a nice guy looked at me like that." I blushed, but we laughed it off. 6 weeks later, I hit my 60-pound goal, and Tara had lost 30 pounds. She wouldn't hit her target before school started, but she was close. To celebrate my progress, I set up a date with Angie. I reminded myself it wasn't a romantic date, just two friends going out. Erica greeted me at Angie's house, excited about our plans. I met Mrs. Harper, the elderly neighbor who babysat Erica, and she commented on how nice I looked in my suit. When Angie emerged, wearing a stunning little black dress, I had to remind myself we were just friends. Dinner at Devesto's was fantastic, and although Angie was hit on once, she spent the evening with me, turning down every guy who asked her to dance. We danced together, and during the slower songs I couldn't help but fantasize about her. But by the end of the night she gave me a friendly kiss on the cheek, and thanked me for being a perfect gentleman. Realizing I needed to move on, I started focusing on women who might be real romantic possibilities. However, fate had other plans. A busy work schedule and Tara hitting her weight goal meant I had to set up a date with her instead. When I picked up Tara for our date, I was blown away by her transformation. She wore knee-high lace-up boots, tight jeans and a blood-red corset that accentuated her curves. "Damn girl," I said, admiring her from head to toe. Tara giggled, spinning around to show off her look, and I couldn't help but be amazed by how confident and beautiful she had become. Tara's dark brown eyes sparkled, and her smile lit up the room. Apparently even a big, clueless guy like me can say the right thing sometimes. She surprised me by choosing Sherman's Wharf for dinner, a casual seafood spot off the interstate, not one of Brownwood's upscale restaurants like Devesto's. When she saw my surprise, she laughed. "Tommy boy, I plan on dancing all night and a light salad is perfect. Plus, I can barely breathe in this corset and anything heavier might make it pop." I laughed. Not sure that would be a bad thing. After a fun dinner, we headed to the Strobe for a night of dancing. Tara was turning heads and even asked my permission when another guy wanted to dance with her, though I reminded her it was her night. She made it clear she was with me and danced with me most of the time. Everything was going great until Susie from my past showed up. Susie, dressed provocatively and with two men in tow, made snide comments about my weight and tried to provoke me. I fired back with insults of my own, which rattled her enough for her companions to pull her away. One of the men, Hawthorne, apologized for the disruption and sent over a bottle of champagne to make amends, which Tara and I enjoyed in the CVIP section. The rest of the night was carefree and fun as we danced and laughed. Afterward we took a long walk and Tara snuggled close to me. By the end of the walk we kissed and the chemistry between us was undeniable. She whispered, "Take me to your apartment." and we barely made it inside before we were all over each other. The night was filled with passion, and we woke up the next morning wrapped in each other's arms, a feeling I had missed. A week later I was back at the gym with Angie, who had clearly been waiting to say something. "What did you do to that girl?" she asked, amused. Confused, I asked why. "Is she okay?" Angie laughed. "Better than okay. Tara's been floating on air since your date. She thinks you walk on water." I smiled but admitted, "I don't think we'll be long-term. She's too young and she deserves someone without all my baggage." Angie gave me an odd look before packing up her things, saying, "You're an unusual one, Tommy boy." At least she didn't call me nice or safe. Over the next month and a half I struggled but finally broke the 70-pound mark. Tara and I went out several times, enjoying ourselves both in and out of the bedroom. We were becoming close friends, but I knew our romantic connection wasn't strong enough for a long-term relationship. It was bittersweet, but we both recognized it. One evening we went to a Crusader football game, and Tara kept glancing over her shoulder at someone. It turned out to be her ex, Sean, glaring at us. She laughed it off and mentioned she'd spread some embarrassing rumors about him, which likely explained his anger. I joked that I'd better stay on her good side. And she teased me back, reminding me of our playful relationship. Tara and I both knew our connection was shifting from romantic to platonic. She admitted she cared deeply for me, but we both understood it wasn't enough for a lifetime commitment. We ended the night with a kiss, knowing we'd always be good friends. A week later she started dating a guy named Jeremy, someone she met at the game, and I was happy for her. By November I worked hard to lose the final 10 pounds to meet my 80-pound goal. Angie invited me to join her and Erica for Thanksgiving, which I gladly accepted since I wasn't going home to Wisconsin. Angie had started new Thanksgiving traditions with Erica, which included serving the less fortunate before having their own dinner. We spent the morning at the Lighthouse Mission, helping to serve meals. Erica's charm and fearlessness won over everyone there, and I was humbled by how much joy she brought to the people. Thanksgiving dinner at Angie's wasn't traditional but delicious, featuring healthier dishes like spicy kale salad and herb-stuffed turkey chest. After dinner Angie thanked me for trusting her and not filling up on mashed potatoes at the mission. I also told her I'd reached my 80-pound goal. "Good," she said, smiling. "I've already bought my dress for the Christmas ball, and I don't think you'll be disappointed." As the night of the ball approached I prepared for the big event, renting a tux and even booking a limo. When I arrived at Angie's house, Mrs. Harper answered the door, complimenting me on how sharp I looked. Erica pouted about not having a dress as pretty as her mom's, but I promised to take her shopping for one. Then I looked up and saw Angie in her stunning blue dress, and for a moment it felt like I was looking at an angel. Angie's sapphire gown flowed gracefully over her curves. Her blonde hair pinned up elegantly, highlighting her neck. A white gold necklace with diamond teardrops shimmered like dew on her skin. She looked like an adult fairy princess, leaving me speechless as I stood there awestruck. Angie beamed and Mrs. Harper laughed. "Angie, you look incredible," I finally managed. "Thank you," she replied, smiling. "I hope you're not disappointed." "Not possible," I said, taking her arm and leading her to the limo. The Hawthorne Hotel was decked out for the Christmas ball, and despite the lavish decorations and beautiful gowns, Angie drew plenty of attention when she stepped out of the limo. In my eyes, she was the most stunning woman there. We danced for an hour, her body warm against mine, and she playfully teased me the whole time. She turned down every man who asked her to dance, focusing only on me. I spotted familiar faces, including Susie, but avoided her. While we were taking a break, a man approached Angie. She froze when she saw him. "Daniel?" she said softly. "Angela," he replied warmly. Daniel was a handsome, well-dressed man in his 30s. He barely acknowledged me, but Angie introduced us. I realized he was Daniel Pickering, a high-profile lawyer with political ambitions. He ignored me and complimented Angie. "Sorry, Dan, but I'm here with Tommy and my dance card is full," Angie said firmly. After he left, Angie asked me to take a walk. Once we were away from the ballroom, she turned to me, her eyes teary. "I'm so sorry, Tommy, I can't believe he treated you like that. Dan has been possessive lately, and I never wanted you to feel disrespected." I assured her I wasn't offended. Angie, I'm here with the most beautiful woman in Brownwood, that's all that matters. She smiled, kissed my cheek, and we headed back to the ballroom, stopping at the restroom so she could freshen up. I waited outside and soon enough, an unwelcome voice interrupted. Leah, I said, forcing a polite smile. She looked good but had gained weight since our divorce. Her date was Theo Hawthorne, the man I'd seen at the strobe. After a brief, tense exchange, Angie returned, kissed me deeply and dismissed Leah with a subtle glance. Angie greeted Theo politely, and I felt grateful to have her by my side as we rejoined the evening, leaving Leah behind. Leah was visibly surprised, but Angie quickly shifted her attention back to me with a mischievous smile. Pressing herself against me, she reached into her purse and pulled out a small dark blue underwear, matching her dress, and swapped it for my tuxedo pocket square. Shall we dance some more before our real workout begins? She teased, leaving me speechless. I nodded as she led me back into the ballroom. Before leaving, I turned to Leah. By the way, I saw your friend Susie earlier. I thought she'd be working the parking lot with all the luxury cars outside, I said calmly. Theo snickered, trying to hide his amusement as Leah glared at him. As Angie and I danced, she muttered, I can't believe that witch, I laughed. Witches and drama, oh my. Angie chuckled, pressing herself closer to me as we danced, teasing me until the song ended. By then she had me completely flustered. What were you saying? She grinned. Changing the subject, I asked if she knew Theo Hawthorne. Angie laughed, explaining she knew many of Brownwood's elite, thanks to Eric. She also revealed that Eric had run off with Priscilla Rutherford. Despite the scandal, Angie had remained on good terms with most of those families. After some playful banter, Angie reminded me she'd want the underwear back. When I asked when she'd removed it, she revealed she'd done so earlier, anticipating a run-in with Leah. Her plan had clearly worked. As we danced again, I couldn't help but feel like I was living a fairy tale. However, as the evening wound down, Angie asked a more serious question in the limo. Where do we go from here? Jokingly, I replied about how the night would end with a cheeky kiss. She laughed, but clarified she wanted to know about my weight loss journey. She encouraged me to push for another 20 pounds, saying it would be life-changing for me. I chuckled, calling her a cheerleader, and she joked about having a Santa's helper outfit ready for the children's ward Christmas party at the hospital. She convinced me to join and we both laughed at the idea of me as Rudolph. On Saturday I escorted Angie and Erica, both dressed as elves, to the party. Angie looked adorable in her festive outfit, but even when trying to be cute, she still managed to stir feelings in me. When we arrived, we learned the scheduled Santa had fallen ill, and both Angie and the orange-haired nurse Bree turned their attention to me. Moments later I found myself dressed as Santa. Playing Santa for the kids was heartwarming but also heartbreaking. Some of their Christmas wishes were so touching that I had to hold back tears. Even Angie had tears in her eyes. I did my best to stay jolly for the kids and handed out presents before making my exit, deeply moved by the experience. After playing Santa for the kids, I collapsed in a back room completely drained. Angie and Bree followed me, thanking me repeatedly. Angie mentioned one last little girl wanted to sit on Santa's lap. Ho ho ho, little girl, I joked. Wanna sit on Santa's lap? You've gotta be very good or very bad for it to work. In your dreams, Santa, Angie laughed. Ouch! I replied, making them both laugh harder. I'll go get her, Angie said, leaving the room. She knows it's me, right? I asked. Nope, Angie smiled. I told her you were taking care of Santa's sleigh. She shot me a seductive look as she added, By the way, Santa, I've been a very good girl this year. I groaned as Bree chuckled. Moments later, Angie returned with Erica and some staff. Erica jumped onto my lap, all smiles. Hi, Santa, remember me? She asked. Of course, I said in my Santa voice. I've been watching you. Her eyes went wide before she whispered her Christmas wish in my ear. Santa, I want a real daddy. That hit me hard. How could her father abandon such a sweet little girl and her amazing mom? She added another request for a pink bike, which I could handle more easily. Santa will see what he can do, I said, hugging her. She giggled and called me Santa Bear before running off. Then Angie sat on my lap, grinning. There were a few catcalls from the staff. "So, little girl, what do you want for Christmas?" I asked, staying in character. She leaned in and whispered, "If you lose 100 pounds, I'll give you a lap dance you won't forget." I groaned loudly, making everyone laugh as she walked back to Bree with a triumphant grin. After I changed out of the costume, I joined Angie and Erica in the lobby. We joked about Santa's muddy sleigh, and Angie teased about guys hitting on her while waiting. Later, over lunch, Angie asked if Erica had mentioned the pink bike. I confirmed I already had it on layaway, which made her smile. Then she asked about Erica's other wish, but I kept that one to myself. Angie grew serious and reminded me she was serious about the lap dance promise. I hesitated, telling her it wasn't her, but that crossing those lines between us would be hard. I explained how her keeping things friendly made it easier for me to joke around. But if she ever truly turned her charm on, I'd be lost. Angie understood but shared why she offered something so personal. Because she trusted me. She wanted to give me something special without going too far. She explained how her relationship with Daniel was different because it lacked emotional depth, unlike what she had with me. She suggested a strip tease instead of a lap dance, offering to make it a memorable but safe experience. I sat quietly, processing everything, and finally agreed. Angie lit up with excitement, and we both laughed at how this might be a bad idea, but neither of us seemed to care. The holidays stirred up mixed emotions for me. Last year's divorce left me feeling the loneliness of being single, and while I had work to keep me busy this year, I couldn't stop thinking about Angie and Erica, who had gone to Dallas for Christmas. I wished Angie had opened up more about whatever was holding her back from going home, but she hadn't yet. I missed them and they were on my mind constantly. I wasn't blind. I knew I was falling in love. I already adored Erica, but I was sliding into a fantasy with Angie, even though I knew it would likely end in heartbreak for me. I accepted that being her friend was probably all I could hope for, but maybe friends with benefits wasn't entirely out of reach. After all, she'd offered a lap dance as motivation.